Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube page, where I'm always covering the hot sports topics of the day. It came out yesterday that the New York Jets will start Greg McElroy in their Week 16 matchup at home against the Chargers this week. I don't mind the decision to start McElroy. I think it's sort of a no-brainer to start McElroy at this point. Why? You have the kid come in relief against the Cardinals, lead you back, then not dress him the next two games, and then make him the starter in Week 16. Just nothing the Jets do from any level in their organization these days makes any sense at all. I mean, from bringing Tebow in, why did they bring Tebow in? I really would like Woody Johnson to answer that question, because the more and more I see how they use Tebow, the fact that they dressed him a game where he was hurt down in Jacksonville, I think it's pretty obvious, and it's kind of insulting Jets fans' intelligence at this point, that he was brought in just as a gate attraction. And if you watch a Jet game, he's not improving the gate. So why did you bring him in? What improves the gate, Woody Johnson, is winning games. And that'll never change in any sport, anywhere. There's no gimmicks that could get people to come to the game. McElroy, I think what you hopefully see out of him in these next two games is that maybe he's a solid backup at worst, or maybe he's a kid that next year, after Sanchez starts the year as the starter, which he will do again, they're not going to cut Mark Sanchez. If they cut him, he's a $17 million hit against the cap. I said this in the last video I posted about the Jets quarterback situation. Football is not a sport where you can pay someone to go away. It's not like baseball. So Sanchez will be the starter next year. Maybe you see in these last two games that you have McElroy as a solid backup behind Sanchez going into next year. Tebow, I think, will be gone in one way, shape, or form, either via trade or they'll just release him. But now, you have McElroy and back of Sanchez. I think that does two things. One, it gives you a solid backup, which they haven't had since Sanchez has been there. And that's been a huge problem for the Jets. Mark Brunell in back of Sanchez, I mean, do you think Sanchez ever felt threatened by him? Felt like he had to spend extra hours in the film room so Mark Brunell didn't take his job? No, not at all. And I think you see that with Sanchez's attitude and also his lack of preparedness, it seems, to face some of these defenses he plays. And then also, if Sanchez does falter now, maybe you have a guy that you can put in and it won't be that much of a of a letdown as far as the talent level goes and as far as the production goes. Heck, he may even be better. We just don't know at this point. And I think if you take these last two games to sort of see what he can do, I think it can do nothing but benefit the franchise. And I think the overall problem with the Jets at this point is it seems as though Rex and Tannenbaum are sort of puppets for Woody Johnson. I think when Woody Johnson left the personnel decisions in the hands of Tannenbaum and Rex Ryan, I think you saw the Jets develop a nice team centered around defense and running the ball. With the moves they've made recently and why they extended Mark Sanchez, I honestly have no idea. That is one decision I put squarely on Tannenbaum. And I think personally it may cost Tannenbaum his job this offseason. My better judgment says, though, that Woody will give Tannenbaum one more year, and Rex is not going anywhere. If you follow the Jets on a daily basis, and if you live in the area, you follow sports, you know there's no way Woody Johnson is getting rid of Rex. Woody Johnson loves to be on the back page. He loves to have the news swirling around his team. And when you combine that with the fact that Rex hasn't been a terrible head coach, he's led them to two AFC championship games. And when you combine the fact that as long as he's here, the Jets will get their fair share of back pages, Rex Ryan is not going anywhere. The only way I see Rex Ryan even get fired after next year is if they have an absolutely horrible season, which honestly I don't see, because I think the Jets are going to, in the offseason here, improve their skill position players, because they can't get any worse, quite frankly. Their receiving core is absolutely it's just disgusting to watch. These guys get no separation anywhere on the field, and I think that'll help the quarterbacks next year. They'll get Revis back on defense. We'll see how his contract situation goes in the offseason. But I think heading into next year, you need to know what you have in McElroy. We already know what we have in Sanchez. We know he's a guy, if you put a great team around him or a really good offensive line in front of him that can control the game running the ball, he can be a good play-action passer and he can be productive. Okay? Let's not forget, Sanchez is not, it's not like he's had zero success in this league. He's been terrible the last 2 seasons. 50 turnovers in 2 years, not defending that whatsoever. But I think you'll see now what you have in McElroy, and that if he's a solid backup. Because if he's not, and you don't believe he is, you need to go out and get one. You need to go out and spend money on a veteran quarterback and get him in here as a backup. Personally, I hope McElroy is the guy. I think he's a good guy. He's intelligent. Okay, he comes from a winning program in Alabama. And he's said and done all the right things here. When, let's face it, he could have made a big fuss after not even dressing the last 2 games after leading them to a victory. And what does Rex do this week? Does he not dress Tebow? Because he hasn't dressed 3 quarterbacks all season. Or does Woody Johnson reach down and say, no, Rex, you're at home. You will dress Tebow. See how that plays out as well. Because Tebow obviously is not in the plans for this team offensively. Sparano, who's a guy who definitely needs to go, he's in way over his head as an offensive coordinator, but we'll save that for another video. Sparano has not found a good way to use him, and I think he was forced upon Sparano, to be fair. And it's time to get rid of Tebow. It's time to see what we have in McElroy, and hope that the Jets can put the parts around Sanchez to start next year that will make them successful. And if he falters, have a solid backup there, whether it's McElroy or a veteran. And as a Jet fan, as you can tell, it's just pretty frustrating when you thought 2 years ago this team was on the cusp of, hey, we have a good coach, we have a good defense, we have a solid young quarterback, not a great one, but a solid one. We have a good running game. Wow, it seems like the building blocks are really in place. To 2 years later, they're the joke of the league. They're getting publicized. They're the lead story on SportsCenter when they're 6-8 and change their quarterback, which should show you just how much of a mockery this team is. The fact that they basically get made fun of on a national TV show for the first 10 minutes of it. But going forward here, it's time for Rex to kind of do things his way, become a little bit more involved in the offense, and hopefully next year the Jets can come out different with a different mentality and kind of shake this kind of clown image that they really have right now amongst their fans and amongst the NFL in general. You want to see what their fans think? Watch this game this week versus the Chargers and see how many fans are in the stands. And then ask Woody Johnson if he thinks all of this stuff he caused this year with the picking up of Tebow and some other comments he's made throughout the year, see if he thinks it's worth it then. But those are my thoughts on this situation. Hit me up on YouTube. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think. And as always, hey, subscribe to my page and you get my daily videos delivered directly to your inbox. Thanks, guys.